Hello everyone, this is I am Sagar Shah, and today's game that I'm going to show you is between Anand and Caruana. Anand won in the third round against Caruana at the Tata Steel 2018. The slight change that we have today is in the venue of this recording. It's inside a cab, an Ola cab that I'm traveling from my hotel Caspia to the playing venue. It's a long drive and every day we spend around an hour in the Delhi traffic traveling. Today is the last round of the Delhi Open, and I thought, why not make good use of it? The game played by Anand is simply spectacular, so let's learn a few things from the maestro. The game opened with 1e4 and Caruana replied with the Petrov defense. Anand picked up the pawn and everything was working as normal, full symmetry, and then Vishy plays the move c4. You might hear a few honking horns here in the background. That's Delhi for you. c6 was played, and here knight c3 is one of the main moves. Also c into d5 is possible, but Anand went for queen to c2, and this as he said after the game was not played against Caruana much, so he wanted to try it out, although he knew that there would be some new ideas up the American sleeve. Knight a6 threatening knight b4, a3 was played, bishop g4, and knight went to e5. Now bishop e5 leads to very sharp lines, and I really like this variation because it is de, knight c5, you play f3 forking the two pieces, and knight d3, queen d3, knight c5, you attack the queen, and after queen d4 there's this move knight b3, once again a fork, and after queen g4, knight a1. It remains to be seen what's going on in this position. White has this nice move bishop h6 when g6 is forced, and then you can develop knight c3. Also bishop f8 is possible. There are many games that have been played in this line, and black chooses this move queen b6. So I would recommend you to check out these games to know what's going on here. So Caruana didn't take bishop into e5. He played the move bishop f5, and Anand played b4, knight c7. This is the first new move of the game. Before this, Leko versus Ivanchuk had continued with f6. So knight c7, f3, and bishop g6. The point is, if you take on e4, then bishop e5, de, and de4 is good for black, because the queen is jumping into d4, attacking the rook on a1 and the king on g1. Anand badly wanted knight into g6 to work. However, after fg6, he couldn't really understand the complications, because after fe4, queen h4 is a powerful move, but I think white survives after g3. It looks really dangerous for him. Instead, I would recommend that black should play d into e4 when he has very good compensation in this position. So c5 was played by Anand instead of knight into g6, and bishop e5, de, knight g5. So already Caruana goes for something very radical, because he understands that things are not going his way, and after bishop b2 he plays this move d4. So you can see that now white is threatening f4, f5, and Caruana has left the option of coming back to e4 as such. So f4, and knight went to d5. Now I was watching this game live when it was happening. I was trying to understand why exactly did Caruana sacrifice a piece, and so the calculation was fg5, you take it, knight e3, and now queen d2. This is important because you would like to defend the g5 pawn when the knight takes on f1. So here I was trying to see if there are some options like queen into g5, because now if bishop into g6, I felt that fg6 would be strong, opening the f file. However, here white has, I think, rook f2, which is pretty strong. You defend g2, and I didn't see any way for black to really gain anything here. So knight into f1 was another possibility, but after bishop f1 there was nothing happening as such. White looks better. So Caruana went for bd3, queen d3, knight f1, king f1, and queen into g5. And this was also one of the main lines that I was considering. In fact, I was analyzing this position with my friends Niklesh and Angela, and we reached this position, and after knight d2, I was trying to feel that black has some compensation, and try to find ways in which black can survive this, but it turned out that white is doing very well. And here it's so natural for humans to go for the move knight f3, because the main point is that you secure the h2 square, you develop the knight on f3, and everything looks good. You are going to win the d4 pawn. However, it was very important that you don't fall for such stereotypes, trying for king security and stuff, and actually play knight c4. Now this move, you must understand that queen h2, once you see it, you would feel like, okay, I don't want to go into this line. But after queen into d4, threatening a mate on g7, f6, and knight d6, at the cost of one pawn, what white has achieved is tremendous. Knight on d6, this nice coordination, d file is blocked, e file cannot be accessed. So Anand, as he said later in the game, I should have played this. This is what Anand felt, and rightly so, he understood it. But during the game, he didn't have this courage to give up the h2 pawn, which I can fully understand, because the king on f1 looks weak. So knight f3, queen h5, queen d4, and we reach this very interesting position where you have a pure knight bishop fighting against a rook and one pawn. Who's stronger here? That is the question, and it would be very interesting for you to think about this, try to form your own conclusions. At first I felt that black should be doing well because he has the two open files for his rook, but then if you look further, there are entry points are very difficult because all of these squares would be controlled by white. So having the open files on its own makes not much sense if you can't enter into the position. Second question is, should white exchange one pair of rooks or not? If he exchanges a pair of rooks, is it better for him? If he doesn't, again, a very difficult question to answer. And the third question right now is that there is a mate on g7, so how do you prevent it? So f6 was played, and queen c4, king h8. Here Vishy played a very unusual move, which was bishop c1, and I was not really understanding what is the idea of it. Of course, I got the point that bishop f4, bishop d6 has to be played, but bishop d6 looks very slow because you are giving up two tempos. And the first thing that came to my mind was that black should play rook a d8, get his rook to the center, and after bishop f4 go rook d5, come out of that bishop on d6, and after bd6 put the other rook on e8. In that way he has control of both the files, and I think this would have been a plausible plan. Caruana could have gone for this and he would have had decent chances, although I think white is slightly better here. But in the game he went for this, instead of rook a d8, rook f e8, bishop f4 a5, and this move gave white a b4. This was not such a great move, and Anand felt it was a very bad move because after queen b4 he is straight away looking at the b7 weakness, and somehow he felt that his king was very weak because this bishop here is just controlling the king side. So once the king comes to g1, and even if you sack on f3, you would be fine. because the bishop controls everything, h2 and all these points. So queen d5, queen into b7. Now white is just winning. H6, king g1. This is all very nice moves by Anand. Just look at how he secures his position. Rook a4, h3, rook c4, queen b2. Okay, so queen b2, and here Caruana went for queen to d3, and here Anand played the final move, which was very nice, rook a2. As he said in the post game conference, that the second rank was more important than the first. So queen d1, king h2, rook c1, and a4. There are no threats. If queen h1, you just go to g3. Your king is very safe. f5 was played, queen b7, f4, threatening a mate in 1. Anand just picked this pawn up, and the end was very nice. Queen f7, rook had to go to g8, and here bishop e5. And now is a small question for you: how does white finish off the game? You should do it in Anand style, in a very nice style. And Magnus Carlsen, by the way, tweeted that Anand has still got it after he made the move rook d6. So queen into f7 is met with the very beautiful rook h6 mate, and Caruana resigned. So a great win for Anand, who proves that he is not only back in form in blitz and rapid, but also in classical format. What a timeless genius. I mean, it's just evergreen. A great game, and I hope you learned a lot from it, especially how the imbalance of two pieces against a rook works. And by the way, sorry for this wobble and everything. I'm in the taxi, and I'm now I think 8 minutes away from my destination, so I'll be there at the last round of the Delhi Open. Stay tuned.